Hannah, do you need anything? There's markers to write with. Yeah. Okay. And do you have the key that's corrected or no?
I do. It's in my car.
Okay.
I'll get it for you.
I'm in the office. Okay. All right. Text if you need anything.
All right. Assalamualaikum, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and begin the discussion for today. We'll start off by, asking, I'll start off by opening up the floor for questions. If anyone has any questions on homework or concepts, we can go over that first. And if no one has questions, we can just go over the homework. So what did you guys cover last week? Where did you guys end?
So I think 9.1.
Yeah, we started 9.1.
You started 9.1. So you did all of chapter 8 as well?
Yes.
Okay. So, and then so you began from the beginning of chapter 8, correct?
Yeah.
Sheikh Mustafa?
Yeah, with
No,
Sheikh
we
Mustafa.
started with, I think, 7.5.
7.5? Okay.
But with Brother Shoaib, he.
Brother Shoaib?
Yeah, I was not there. Are you there?
He finished 7.6, I think.
7.6. I was not there.
That's what
so.
my time was.
Okay.
But
So-
with Sheikh Mustafa, I think we had a little bit of chapter 8 left, so we finished that and started chapter 9.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. You did chapter 8 and then chapter 9, correct?
Started chapter 9.
Okay, so last week I think we went over chapter 7, right, in discussion? Does anyone have any questions about chapter 7, concept-wise? Or
Yeah, I had
homework-wise?
actually, there was one thing in 7.6, it was the English version was that the old messenger of Allah, no, what was that? Number 2. Allah created the old tree of Adam. So the correct answer which we were given was that, it was, the correct answer was that خَلَقَ اللَّهُ شَجَرَةَ آدَمًا قَدِيمَةً.
Mhm.
So the question is that why قَدِيمَةً? Why not قَدِيمًا?
Can I see it?
The correct answer was Kadima.
The correct answer was قَدِيمًا?
Yeah.
No, it was Khadimata.
It's قَدِيمَةً.
Was it?
Let me find
Why I have Kadima?
the correct answer.
Oh, can-
I just use my message.
that's fine.
Here,
Can I see the?
This
Can I see the?
is the 7.6.
Okay. which
Allah
one?
created the old tree of Adam,
Okay.
right? So,
So it was.
and this is the answer, 7.6. خلق الله شجرة آدم قديما.
No, it would not be Kadimata.
Not قديمة. That's what I thought.
Kadima.
قديمة, yeah. Okay, then I don't have question.
Okay. Any other questions?
خلق الله شجرة آدم قديما.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I confuse everyone.
Yeah, that's why your special markers.
Okay, thank you.
That's right.
All right, so any other questions about, you can pull up another chair or sit where. Okay, any other questions about chapter 7? You guys understand all the concepts? Chapter 7? Make sense? Yeah?
Chapter 7.
Nothing else? Then I'm gonna move on to 8. Okay, in chapter 8, does anyone have any questions about exercises or concepts?
I was asking brother, why is put Muslimun and Muslimin?
And that's what we're going to cover in chapter 8.
Did he go over that yet?
Yes.
Okay. Can anyone explain what's the difference between Muslimuna and Muslimina?
It's plural, right?
Both are
what
plural.
Masculine.
what we understood.
Muslimuna is singular, right?
No.
It's plural.
Both are
What
plural.
I understood was that if the singular will have Dhamma, it will be Muslimun, and if it will have Kasra or Fatha, it will be Muslimin.
That's correct. Is anyone confused on that concept?
Why is it Muslimun again? I didn't get.
Go ahead and explain.
If, let's say, if it was singular, like Muslim, but if it was Muslimun for any reason, because of the sentence structure, then it will be Muslimun. But if it Muslim has Fatha or Qasra, Muslima or Muslimi, then it will become Muslimin, not Muslimun. That's what.
Okay, so let me write it down for you guys. Oh, this is not the right word. For now, okay, so for now, this is what you want to focus on. When it's singular, male, and singular female, that's the difference, right? It's muslimun. And then singular female is muslimatun. Everyone gets that, right?
Yeah,
That's
no,
and then when it's so this is, you guys all get that, right? When it's masculine plural, it's muslimuna. You guys all get that? That makes sense? So when it's feminine plural is muslimatun. So the key thing you want to know, it's ending combination that always looks like this. So that's what you basically need to focus on. The other stuff, we'll go over that in detail in just a moment, okay? But right now, as long as you understand these two, we'll be able to begin our concepts, and it's pretty basic, okay? Does anyone else have any questions before we start reviewing? No? Okay.
Can you please do 8.6 number 1?
8.6 number.
She's going to review from the.
Oh, you're reviewing?
So I was just going to review the examples, but is it she went to those nearby cities?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're doing 8.6 number 1. She went to those nearby cities. Okay, so how do you write she went?
Zahabat.
Zahabat.
Okay, correct. Zahabat. Okay, so that's she went. What does dhahaba always come with?
Ila.
Ila. So perfect. What does ila mean?
Two.
Two. Okay, so this part's done. How do you write those?
Ulaika.
What? Okay, so
Tilka, right?
Because now.
What does this, how do you write this?
Hazi.
Hada,
Haza.
right? How do you write this female?
Hazi.
Two.
Hazi.
Hadihi.
Sorry.
Okay, how do you write
That.
that?
Zalika.
Zalika.
And how do you write that female?
Tilka.
I can erase this, right? You guys all know this? And this is okay, tilka. How do you write these?
These.
Ulai.
Or are you looking for other word?
I don't know. I'm looking for whatever word you guys know.
Ulai, I think.
Ulai.
What's the difference?
Like and
These and those.
These and those.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between these and those? Same, just
This
like
and
this.
that.
This is closer, and that is far. Remember? These is closer, those is far. Okay? That's the main difference. How do you write these?
Ulai.
Haulai. I'm looking at the example. These haulai.
is these
Haulai.
and Ulaika is those.
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Ulai.
Haulai is these. I want to make sure I spell it the way he does. Haulai. That's how he
Sister,
spells it.
down would be like, the. Yes.
So you can put a standing alif if you want or not. Haulai is these. Those is
Ulaika.
okay. So this is something that you knew from the last midterm. This is old stuff. This is new. Make sure you know this, okay? So so anytime you feel like you don't know about vocab, I want you to go back and write the whole table out. That means every time you rewrite it, it's gonna emphasize and emphasize until you know it all over again. So that's why I'm doing that. Anytime you ask me a question, I'm gonna write everything all over again because that's what you guys are supposed to do. You have to start thinking like that. So she went to those. So what is those?
Ulaika.
Ulaika. Everyone agrees it's Ulaika? No other opinions?
This is for the person. Ulaika is for
People.
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 Okay.
How about
But we're
feminine?
not talking about the people, we're talking about the city. Those cities.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you
can we
can
use
take a-
Ulai for the non-living thing? We can.
No. Okay.
No.
I don't know. You guys tell me.
Okay.
What's the, okay, so let me go over the rule again. These are great questions. So you see, by going through one example, we're going over multiple different concepts. So the rule is, okay, this is the rule. Non-human plurals are treated
Feminine.
as singular feminine. I hope you guys are
Yeah, we don't.
taking notes, or you guys, it's ingrained already. And you guys will not miss this question because I went over it already too. So you have feminine. Is that this or whatever? Okay. So non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine. Now she went. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about
Cities or
so we'll leave this. This could be either ulaika or
Tilka.
what's singular feminine of far. This one, right?
Tilka.
Tilka. So it can't be hadihi. You understand, right? Okay, so it could be that
Okay.
or tilka. So we haven't decided yet. So we'll just keep it there. Okay? Then you guys can tell me at the end what you think it should be. Okay? How do you say nearby?
Qariban. Nearby.
Qariban? Qaribatan.
No.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
That was a word for me.
Qarib.
Qaribatan.
No?
Qarib.
Bird.
Qarib is the translation, but I
That's
don't
the
know
word. Qarib is
what are the
So-
vowels.
the
Yeah,
root.
what is the vowel? I don't know. What is
So everyone thinks it's qarib.
Well,
Kariban.
that's what you
Qarib.
build from.
Okay, so we'll just write what we know. So what do you guys think it is? Qaribun?
Kariban.
Qaribun.
Qaribun? Okay. I'm just writing what you're writing.
Because it's plural.
Okay, and then how do you say cities?
Cities is
Medina.
Madina.
Mudun. Mudun.
Oh, the plural of city.
Mudun.
I don't know.
That's
Ayun.
Mudun.
Is this right?
Mhm.
Mudun.
No. Mim, dal, noon.
Is this right?
Mudun.
Mudun.
It should be Dhamma on the dal.
And then what should be the marking here?
Mudun says
No.
no marking. Just Mudun.
Just Mudun.
Yeah. Sukun.
Okay. Now let's
We can put
correct our mistakes
Okay.
because we have a couple mistakes.
Okay.
What does the answer key say?
Mudunun.
Do we have answers already?
We should. Okay,
Do you
so
want me to
open it
re-
up to the answer key, but don't quite look at it yet. Okay?
Maybe I didn't think it.
You didn't go over it?
Oh, no, I said it wrong.
The answer key is not being ready.
Not written yet? Okay, then that's even better. Okay, so now let's
You have the answer.
let's.
Oh, you have. She has that.
Yeah, we have the answers.
I haven't
Okay.
printed out.
So what does the answer say?
Tilkal muduni.
Karibati.
I knew it was not good.
Zahabat ila tilkal mudunin
Because city is
qariban.
children.
Okay, so this marker is horrible. Okay, so let's. So now you know where your mistakes are going to be. Okay, because you tried to attempt it without looking at the answer key. Okay, first problem. Okay, when we make a verbal sentence, we begin with a verb. So we began with the verb. We know this verb always comes with a certain preposition. So this part we had correct. Okay, that's the only part we had correct. The next part we almost had correct. It should be tilka.
Tilka.
Okay, the reason it should be tilka is because of this rule.
Single
Okay.
feminine.
So we weren't sure, so I put both answers, but I wrote it both out, but I want you guys to do that. If you're not sure, write it both out, reason with yourself, and decide what it should be. Go through the process. Now this one, this I expect everyone to know by now. What is nearby cities?
It's a attributive adjective.
It's a noun-adjective relationship. Remember we went over noun adjectives last time. In Arabic, does the adjective come first or the noun?
Noun.
Yeah.
Noun come first.
So which one's the noun?
Mudun.
Mudun.
Okay, so this should be in the beginning. what comes last? The adjective. Okay, so that's one thing. So cities, so the other thing is noun and adjectives have to match in 4 things, okay? Remember noun and adjectives? They match in 4 things. Vowel markings. The second thing that they match in is number. The third thing they match in is gender. And the fourth thing they match in is definitive versus indefinitive. This should be drilled in. This is from last midterm. No one should get this wrong, ever. So now we know that Mudanan technically should have the same markings as this. If it was here, they both should look the same. They both should be the same gender.
It's
It's on
8.6. Remember.
So,
Okay. So is cities masculine or feminine?
Cities feminine.
Okay, so the adjective has to also be feminine. Done. Now, the other thing that we have to remember is she went to where? She went to those nearby cities. So over here in the answer, he put everything with a kasra
So al. Right?
because of the al.
So
Should be al.
Al-Kharibati.
No, al mudunil karibati.
al.
Right.
Yeah, but if it's al, then you cannot have the tanween.
No, it's not.
It's not tanween.
Why would it have an al?
It wouldn't have al. I'm
Why would it have an al?
Because of those,
What does those do?
it's specific.
No, it's indefinite. It's not it's specific, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, those nearby cities.
Because when you say the, it's all. So those, you're pointing it out. That's specific.
So you automatically the comes, but even it's not there.
Okay, we'll leave this as a question mark. You guys think about it. We'll go over it.
We'll
We'll go over it. So far, you guys get everything else that I've went over, right? Okay, so so we learned a lot of different rules in application just by doing one example. So that's how you have to start thinking. We'll go over the alif lam rule in just a moment. I haven't gone over that yet. But is it making sense so far? Okay, is it making sense to you so far? Other than the alif lam part?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go over that in a minute. Okay, any other questions?
I'm sure you're gonna go through this, but one thing which is kind of confusing is that sometimes the rules that some things will not be, some adjectives will not be plural and some will be.
What do you mean?
You know, let's just go through it, and if it will come, I'll ask
Okay.
the question.
Any other questions before we go through concepts?
Yeah, I think I know what you're referring to. There's an
There's not something
adjective. There's an adjective that when it's non-person,
No, that we already went through. If it's non-person, then it's a singular feminine.
But
there was some.
no, but that was an adjective. 'Cause she was talking about non-human plurals. And then there's also adjectives.
There was a rule about the plural adjective that when it will be plural and when the adjective will not be plural. It was very confusing. So I'm sure it will. But then it's a very simple rule that the adjective will always follow noun. Like karibatan, karibatin.
Over here, this is an adjective. Is it singular or is it plural?
It's plural.
It's plural. But it's plural.
We wrote it plural?
No, we didn't.
We wrote it singular.
Singular. Because it's a non-living thing, right?
Exactly.
That's why we did it.
Exactly. When it's a non-human plural, they're treated as singular feminine.
So we don't even need to know if mother is a feminine or masculine. We just go feminine because it's a plural. Right?
Yeah. That's a good shortcut. But also, when you know that this is a non-human plural, I didn't make this plural. I made it singular feminine. Why? Because they must match in number and gender. And that's how you make them match. So that's the answer. Same rule.
But this rule will not apply in the plural.
What do you mean?
Because see, if we try to match the numbers, then gender might not match. Because see, let's say we take out mudad and put some masculine thing in there, right?
I see what you're saying.
Then it will not follow these rules.
Okay, so this one supersedes that.
Okay, this one's specific.
Yeah, good question. Anything else? Okay, Arabic's getting fun, huh? Okay, all right. So now let's, any other questions before we go over concepts? No?
For going over concepts for like the boys are tall and the girls are short. So we have to write plural for tall also. Why we have to write plural for tall?
Because they're human.
Okay.
Non-human plurals or things without intellect, like jinns and humans are included in the same category. So things without intellect are treated as singular feminine. Okay? So the example where it says the boys are tall and the girls are short.
8.31, yes.
8.3 number 1, it would be written in the true plural form because that's referring to something with intellect.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So let's go over. So any other questions before we begin? Okay, so now we're going to go through the concepts, and we only have half an hour left, so I'm going to speed through them. I'm going to go over the concepts in chapter 8 really, really quick. I'm going to go through each example, if no one has questions, about the homework. Okay, or would you prefer me to go over the homework? Concepts? Concepts? Okay, whatever you guys prefer. So I'll do concepts. Okay, example 1. The Muslims men are in the mosque and the Muslims women are in the house. Okay, everyone should get this example. All it's saying is there's 2 ways to write a plural. One is the masculine and one is the feminine way. Muslimuna is masculine, muslimatun is feminine. And it's the ending combination that changes. Sometimes it's the ending combination, sometimes it's a broken plural, and it's written a specific way. That's all that example illustrates, and that's all you need to know. Okay? Example number 2. The daughters of the prophets are here in the city. This example, all you need to know is it's explaining that there's, instead of an ending combination plural, it's a broken plural. So broken plurals have no pattern. You just have to memorize an additional word. So it's an additional word of vocabulary. If it's a combination ending, you don't have to memorize any new word. You just add that ending, follow that pattern, and you're done. But broken plurals, you have to memorize a whole new word. Okay? So basically, he gave some examples of broken plurals like kabirun versus kibarun, masjidun versus masajidun, ghaniyun versus aghniyaun. These are broken plurals. They have no pattern. You just have to memorize them. And plurals are probably the hardest concept in Arabic because they don't follow a pattern. So you have so many extra words to memorize that mean the same thing. So I would really, really focus on vocabulary very, very hard. He's going to make sure you know your plurals inside out. So he's going to ask you tricky questions. So know your plurals very well. Example 3. The men are old and the women are young. This example, it's teaching you how to use adjectives when there's plurals. So it's, remember we already explained this concept just now, that before we learned that nouns and adjectives must match in vowel markings, definitive and indefinitive, and in gender, but we never learned that they must match in number. So now it's teaching you that it must match in number. However, if it's, you know, a non-human plural, it's treated as a singular feminine. Okay? Any questions so far?
So how do we differentiate that if it's a predicate or adjective? Because here he told us that the box theory, that anything which is on this side of is or are is predicate.
Anything before the is or are is usually the subject. Anything after the is or are is usually the predicate. Now, there are exceptions where it's flipped, but in general, you know, that's the rule. But you can know that for sure by understanding the meaning.
So if it was like the men are far, let's say it says the men are old.
Okay.
So even if it was men are far, we will treat them as the adjective of the men, right?
No, because it's not an adjective. When it says the noun-adjective relationship, okay, so an adjective is something that describes the noun. There is no is or are in between. When an is or are comes in between, then it's a sentence. A noun-adjective is a fragment. Okay, so the man is far, the man is the subject and far is the predicate. It's no longer a noun-adjective.
The men are old is not a predicate. It's an adjective, right?
No, the men are old. The man is the subject. Old is the predicate.
But then why are we going with the plural when it's not adjective, it's far? It's the predicate. Because I was under the impression that predicate doesn't have to follow the number of the subject. Because here we're saying rijalu kibarun, right? We are going with the plural of kabir because it's describing the men. But the way sentence looks like, it's not the adjective, it's the
no, okay, so that's a very good question. So if it was a noun adjective, let's do this on the board. Okay. Can I erase this?
Yeah.
We'll leave this because we still have to get to that in the context. Okay, so oh man, this is not working. Okay, what is the thing?
The men are old.
The men are old. Okay, whenever there's an is or are, it becomes a sentence. This is the subject, this is the predicate. Or you can call it mubtada and khabar. That's the Arabic term for it. The men, how do you translate that? That's plural, right?
Abrijal. Yeah, it's plural.
Okay. Now, how would you say, and then the answer over here that they wrote, the men are old. Al-rijalu kibarun. That's what they wrote. Okay? Now, if it was the old men, that would be a noun adjective relationship. Okay? Now, if I was to write the old men, I would write
Kabir.
Al-Kibar, the old.
Okay.
That's the only difference.
Because
It's
that's only one person. This is plural, right? That's the singular. The
The old men or man? The old man.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So it would be al-rijalu al-kabiru. Would be al-kibaru. Sorry, I can't pronounce things. Al-rijalu al-kibaru. So the old men. So both of them, the only difference is the alif lam. Over here, there's no alif lam.
But-
So that's the difference. That's why everything matters.
But still, we have to make kibar plural, not kabir.
So in that case,
Mm-hmm.
al-rijalu
Mm-hmm.
kibarun,
Mm-hmm.
the adjective is in the predicate. That's how I understand it. In
She's
this,
saying that adjective is in predicate, is not in the subject. Al-Kibar.
It's not an adjective anymore. Technically, in grammar rules, becomes the predicate.
no, like this
If
is the
you
way
wanna,
how
if you
I'm
wanna understand
understanding
it, that's fine. But that's totally fine if you wanna understand it that way. But just know that this is no longer called an adjective. It's technically called a predicate. If you call it an adjective, they will say that's wrong because adjective have different rules. If it was an adjective, you would say the old men. If it's a predicate, you say the men are old.
No, the thing is, I know it's a predicate,
Uh-huh.
and then the way I remember it is I'm putting
That's
the
it.
adjective in the predicate. I don't know
that's
if that
fine.
makes
you can,
sense.
You can remember it however you want. I'm cool with it.
But the point is that predicate will also become plural if the subject is plural.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Except if it's the different rules. If it's non-living, then the
Yes.
different way.
So you're saying that's not a good way to remember it? It's just look at it as a predicate?
Yes. Otherwise, you're going to confuse yourself because there's different rules for adjectives and there's different rules for a predicate. Otherwise, what you're saying is correct, but we don't teach it that way because we don't want to confuse you.
No, that's how I was when I was doing the exercise.
That's
I was
totally
remembering
fine.
it like that. So.
You can have any shortcut you want as long as you know. I'm cool with that. So that's essentially what that exercise is teaching. Okay? Any questions? No? Makes sense? Okay. Example 4. The new books are in the mosque. Are in the old mosques. Okay. So this one explains that rule that we've been talking about forever, where non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine. So al-kutubu jadidatu. That's why it's jadidatu, and jadid is not plural. It's just singular feminine. And fi masajidi kadimati. And that's why kadimati is still singular feminine.
He said to correct al-kutubu al-jadidatu.
Yeah, because it's an adjective, so that's correct. It would be al-kutubu al-jadidatu because they both have to have the alif lam. So that's a good reminder. Okay, so example, are you getting all these concepts so far? Because if you get these concepts, homework is going to be a piece of cake.
What is the concept for 4?
4 is non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine. That's all you need to know. If you understand that, you're good. And remember the rules for nouns and adjectives. Okay, example 5. Who are you? Is that? No? No, it's not me. Okay, that's fine. So who are you, plural, and who are they? We are believers and they are disbelievers. So this teaches us plural pronouns. Did you guys understand this?
No.
No? Okay, I'm going to make a table for you guys. That's going to be really helpful. Write this table down.
Actually, there is a table in the notes.
Right, I'm gonna make a cooler table for you. That'll be a little bit easier for you to understand. Okay. Hua, home. Hia, hunna. Okay? This is one table. Okay, this is singular. This is, oh, I should have, this is labeling now. This is singular. This is plural. This is male. And this is female. Okay? So that makes that part easy. Okay? The second, so everyone wrote this down?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yes.
erase that. So this is, you know how there's in English, there's first person, second person, third person?
Mm-hmm.
What's first person in English?
I,
Single I.
Okay. What's second person in English?
You.
And what's third person?
They, their, us.
she, he.
So this is third person? I don't remember the terms. So I could be wrong. Whatever this is, I believe it's third person. I'll look it up. So the other thing you need to know. Enta. Enti. Entum. En. Jumna. Okay? Single. Plural. Masculine. Feminine. Okay? I believe this is second person. So, this, when you memorize it this way, it's personally easier for me. So it might be easier for you. So there should be a male and female thing over here. So if you separate the two, you'll remember it. So basically you're learning plural pronouns now. You already know hua and you already know hia. So you know the plural male is hum, the plural female is hunna. And then you learned you, male is enta. You male plural, like you all, is entum. You female singular is enti. You female plural is entunna. Okay? So it's easy to memorize also when you write it this way because you see similar patterns. You see similar beginnings. See this? See this? So these are kind of tricks for you to memorize. The whole point is for you to memorize. And the last one is nahnu. Ana is I. And nahnu is we. I believe this is called first person.
There's no gender difference. Okay.
No, because there's no, you know what gender you are, and there is, yeah, it's first person. You just have to know these. Okay? So no one should ever get confused on pronouns now. Plural pronouns, based on this table that I've written. It makes sense. It's very easy to memorize. Okay? So that's all you need to know for example 5. So when it says, who are you, plural, they say men, entum, right here. Because it's assumed that masculine is a default state unless specified. And who are they? Which is this one. They use that. And then nahnu mu'minuna. So they use nahnu. And wahum kafiruna. They used hum again. Okay? Making sense? So all the homework should be easy. Okay, so the next thing is example. Okay, cool. We're doing good on time. Okay, example 7.
Example 6.
We just finished example 6.
We finished example 5.
These books. Oh, sorry. Example 6. Sorry. Okay.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay, so these books are from these men and those are from those women. So we went over these and those just right over here. I already wrote out the table for you guys. Just remember, put this on the same line as close. And make it all in one row, okay, when you write out your tables. So this is, you already know those, and then this is, this example is teaching this table that we already went over. These and those. So that's all you need to know for that example. Remember, close is these, far is those. And remember that table that I wrote. Okay, example 7. Did men sit here? No, women sat there. So, so this is a little bit more confusing. Did you guys understand this concept? So it says that if the subject of a verb is plural, the verb remains in a singular form, but still is masculine, or it still matches in gender. Does that make sense to everyone?
Well, that's what we've been doing all along.
Yeah. The reason it does that way is when you do, you're doing a verbal sentence, you put the verb in front. Just match, when you put the verb in front, just match it in gender and don't worry about anything else, basically.
Plural, it shouldn't be plural because it's men. Did men?
Right, but that's the thing. For verbs, the rules are different, and for nouns, the rules are different. So that's what it's teaching you. You have to know if it's a verb or a noun. If it's a verb, the rules are different. And if it's a verb, just worry about matching in gender. So, ajlasa rijalun huna. So even though rijalun is plural, it's still ajlasa. And it's both masculine. La jalasat nisa'un. So when it's a verb, just worry about matching in gender. When it's a noun, we learned that the rules are different. Okay? So that's what it's teaching you. So then it has examples underneath. Jalasa rajulun. Jalasa rijalun. And jalasat imra'atun. Jalasat nisa'un. So only gender changes, not number. okay? For verbs. So that's what that example was illustrating. Example 8. Did you, plural, go to the mosque today? No, we did not go. This shows how to make verbs plural. Now, did you guys understand how to make verbs plural?
The long table to.
Did you guys?
No, I didn't know.
Confusing.
Very confusing.
Very confusing. You want me to write a new table for you? That's
Oh,
more.
that would be good.
But the question is that when do we know when to make verb singular and when to make plural? Because in example 7 and 8, in one sentence we made the verb we left this verb singular, and the other one we made it plural. So how to know when to make it singular, when to leave it alone, and when to make it plural? In number 7, why not make it plural? Jealous.
Okay, that's a very good question. It depends on the pronoun. If the subject of the verb is plural, the verb remains singular. But if the doer is plural, then you would change it and conjugate it. Did I make any sense?
Maybe. I didn't get it.
Okay, so so in example 7, did the men sit here? Men is a subject of the sentence. So therefore, the verb remains in its singular form. In example 8, did you, plural, go to the mosque today? Remember, pronouns are embedded into verbs. So because the pronoun is embedded into the verb, you have to conjugate the verb accordingly because the doer of this action is plural. So therefore, you have to conjugate the verb.
So only when this table is involved, the verb will be plural, correct?
What table?
This table.
No, because there is singular, there's a plural.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I mean,
When the pronouns, when the doer, just remember it this way, when the doer is, you conjugate it based on the doer.
So you, they, those.
Right. But if the subject of the verb is plural, you do not conjugate it based on number.
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, so in example 7, it says that if the subject of the verb is plural, the verb remains in its singular form. That really explains it all. That the subject over here was did men sit here? Men is a subject. It's a verbal. So you put the verb in the front, make it a verbal question. And the verb remains in a singular form but matches in gender only. Whereas if in example 8, did you, plural, go to the mosque today? The doer in that question is plural. Therefore, you have to the pronoun is embedded into a verb, so therefore you have to conjugate it accordingly.
So you're asking a question in number 7, and in 8,
you're also asking a question.
The subject is performing action.
The subject is performing. Just call it the. So the doer is I'll have him explain it again, but just remember when the doer is okay, another way to remember is when the pronoun is embedded into a verb, you have to conjugate it accordingly. So over here you see a pronoun that's, you need to conjugate it accordingly, so it might be better to remember it that way.
Yeah.
So when you see a pronoun, conjugate it.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now let me write a verb table for you to memorize. Okay, does everyone have it all written out?
Yes.
Is this helping or am I confusing you guys?
No, the tables are.
We didn't even get to that.
The tables are helping because it is in one place.
Okay.
Because this will help.
You wanna come back after this? Or-
No, we have to do it now because they need to close the door and lock up. So, but is huwa. So huwa dhahaba, hiya dhahabat. I'm trying to see which is the best way for you guys to remember. Sorry, it's messy. So that's why you need to know your pronouns really well so you can get to the second piece. Dhahabna. Anta. Oh, he didn't teach you that. So, I'm only teaching you what he's teaching you. That's why I'm looking. Antum. Tom.
When I was listening to the video, he was saying it in English and so then I wrote it all down. I kept starting, stopping. When he started chapter 9. I can tell you where he did it.
Dhahabna.
The video at 1:17.
Chapter.
Can I write it down?
Yeah, sure. If you can see it.
Yeah.
Dhahabtunna. And Nahnu. Now. No. Okay. Okay, so that's essentially what it is. So that's why you need to know this table like really well so you can move on to this next table. Otherwise, if you don't know your pronouns, then you're not going to be able to conjugate verbs accordingly. So conjugating verbs mean being able to understand how to change the form, understand that verbs always follow a certain pattern. So it's going to make your life easy once you memorize this pattern. Huwa dhahaba always ends in a fatha. Okay? Hiya dhahabat always sukun with a ta. That's why the markings matter. Antum and dhahabtum. Sukun always over here, the tum ending always. Tunna over here, tunna over here. See the same pattern? Nahnu, always sukun here with a na. Same. Sukun And this one is the only one that's a little different. Both of these have sukuns. But that's it. If you have to memorize this pattern based on the endings, and once you know the 3-letter verb, you can conjugate it all based on the pronouns. Remember? He, she, they male, they female, we, you male, you all male, and you all female. That's all that example 8 is teaching you. Simple.
It is that simple.
But does it make sense when I write it in this messy table? And
Do you need this?
A lot of memorization then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's all patterns.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It's patterns. Once you know this pattern, you don't need to memorize anything else. You just need to memorize a 3-letter word, and you'll know how to do everything. So you don't need to memorize all these. Otherwise, you would need to memorize 200 different verbs. You just need to memorize the hua form, and then you'll know how to conjugate it. It'll be super easy. So it's a shortcut.
Yes.
So can you translate the first part? You said you all male is antum zahabtum.
Yes. So
And-
you all male,
You
And-
all female.
entum dahabtum. So when I say dahabtum, it already means you all male went.
And the first one?
Dahaba means he went.
He went.
Dahabat means she went. Dahabna means we went. Dahabtunna means, you all females went. So that's how you conjugate it. The pronoun's embedded in the verb. It's really, really easy.
And how about hum zahabu?
They male, they female.
So, ulai. No.
No. That's this table over here. These are pronouns. They replace nouns. Those are pointing words because they indicate a direction. The last thing, we have Isha prayer, and I'm going to go over one more concept really, really quick. Did he do attached pronouns with you guys? Example 1. Okay, I'm going to go over attached pronouns really, really quick, and then we'll be done. Okay? Even though we're over, I don't want anyone to miss Salah, so I don't know if they started. So if they have, you guys can leave. I'm just going to go over this, and then we'll finish. Okay, so now you know all your pronouns by heart, all of these. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to attach them to a word. When you attach it to a word, you're doing the idafa relationship. Idafa, which is possession, which is creating the of. So in English, his book is also written as book of his. When, or if they wrote Sana's book is book of Sana. Okay, when you're doing pronouns and you want to indicate this possessive relationship, you actually do an attached pronoun relationship. So his book would be Kitabuhu, and you would attach a pronoun so the hua form of an attached pronoun is just the ha. Okay? So if it was her book or book of her, da bu ha. So the hiya attached pronoun is actually ha. Okay? So basically, he wrote a really good table, so I'm not going to write a new table. I really like this table. So underneath example 1, it goes through that table. Okay, so now you'll understand how to read that table and make sense of it. Okay? When it says my
Kitabi.
It's talking about the ENA form. When it says, you can write that above your table. When it says her, it's talking about hiya. When it says his, write this above the table. Huwa. When it says your female, it's talking about enti. Your, it's talking about enta. Okay? When it's talking about you, plural male, talking about en. Tum, when it's talking about you, plural female, it's talking about en. Entunna. When it's talking about their, it's home. Sorry, I'm writing really fast because I don't want you guys to miss Isha. When they're talking about their female, it's talking about punna. So write this above the table, and then when it's talking about our, it's talking about nahnu. Okay? My writing is not as good because I'm writing fast. That's essentially what you need to know. If you wrote that above your table, you will understand all of it. If you understood the little explanation I did, you will understand example 1. Does it make more sense now? So that's what attached pronouns are. So before you come to class on Thursday, you should memorize all the tables that I wrote on the board. You should memorize all your pronouns, all your pointing words, all your attached pronouns, and how to write them. If you don't know this, it's just going to get more confusing. Okay? So basically done. And then I'll go over that L thing next time. Because this was more important.
You're gonna run the show.
Yeah.
Not right.